In the dark, I play my dreams. Permaculture flows like sweet streams. I'm the daddy with the know-how seed. Creating the world like it's meant to be. Permaculture, P-I-M-P, I'm the king. Wrapping love in everything. Bringing change, making it last. Join the permaculture.
Welcome to 329. That's the episode of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is My Passion. The only Pimpcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, and practical living.
Permaculture, P-I-M-P, with soulful rays. In the Pimpcast, where we find our place.
Oh, yeah. Good to be here with y'all today, me and my sidekick. All right, yeah. This episode, as always, brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from TwoOldCrowsHomestead.com.
Turn that simp into a pimp.
Bam! Living Soil Foundation. Oh, yeah. We're still waiting on those testing results, and hopefully we'll have them any day. So, yeah, in the testing world and in the government, things don't exactly move quickly. So it is what it is. Or as a ghetto philosopher once said, it do what it do. I want to thank everybody in the chat tonight. So if you would, everybody hit that thumbs up. Tell us what time it is. And if you would, tell us where you're coming from. Because there's a lot of other people in the chat that are almost, they feel as isolated as a lot of us do out there as well. So maybe give a shout out where you're coming from in the chat. So, yeah, I'm just going to jump right into it. So, okay, we got a lot of weird stuff going on in the world, and don't worry, we're going to tell you how to insulate yourself from some of it anyway. But part of what I'm doing around here is, of course, for the longest time, I told you, hey, watch out for 2025. It's going to be weird. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be hectic. And you're already seeing that unfold right now. Eric Sider just sent me a text a minute ago. He says, I'd like somebody to, I'm paraphrasing, but he said something along this line, like, I would like somebody to explain to me how we're going to be in the middle of a civil war and World War III all at the same time. So I mean, man, it's sure, if you were to believe everything that's unfolding right now, that's what they would have you to believe. But of course, I know Eric's saying part of that tongue in cheek because, frankly, folks, remember, everything you think you know is told to you by pathological liars. So just keep that in mind. All right. So for some of y'all that have already shouted out here, let's see. Marty's from Virginia. If I get your names wrong, sorry. In these birth control glasses, it's kind of difficult to see sometimes.
You want me to read it, Dad? I can read it. I can see the
rock
screen.
on with this one, son.
Margie Chisholm said Virginia. Carrie Robertson said Tryon, North Carolina, which is where that one festival was.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Warner says Jackson, Tennessee. Me, Emily, and the baby stop in Jackson, Tennessee. That's our halfway point half the time when we're coming to visit you guys. Here in Asheville, Anna Bird. Springfield, Oregon is Sekhmet. And yeah, that's everybody so far.
Yeah, so if you would hit that thumbs up, tell everybody we're live so they can go ahead and start pressing us because they don't want this information getting out, especially when we don't pick sides. If you
Adair, Oklahoma, also. Adair, Oklahoma.
Yep,
Do you know
there.
What that is?
Oh yeah. I grew up in Oklahoma, so yeah, well acquainted. Decatur, Alabama, Knoxville, Tennessee, yeah, Michigan, New Hampshire, Tennessee. See, you're going to find out, folks, that a lot of people, you're not as isolated as you think. I guarantee it. Just in this chat right now, you're probably looking around there and you're probably asking yourself, if you're looking at some of these other people in there, like, oh my goodness, yeah, there's other people out there that are, they're in my sphere, they're close. So you know what? You're not as isolated as you think, even though a lot of us feel that way. I mean, I certainly do. I know it's good to see somebody else, in the Asheville area that's listening because it makes me feel less alone. And of course, I know there's a lot of other people that are around here that are going to listen to the audio podcast. But yeah, anyway, great to be here with y'all today. So with all the crazy stuff going on, I decided, okay, I'll go ahead and get some truck repairs. So I dropped my truck off. Let's see, it was yesterday. Dropped it off in Asheville and, had them do the whole once over on the thing. Good night. Well, why would I do that? Why would I feel the need to do that? Well, number one, I was due for an oil change anyway, but ordinarily I would take it to a place that was closer. But I took it to, I got a Tundra. So I'm like, okay, let me take it to the Toyota place and let them do the once over, change all the fluids, do everything. Why would I do that? Because just like Eric said, okay, if things go sideways, and let's just say the worst should unfold, it might, but I'm starting to suspect that maybe what we see going on right now might be a rope-a-dope, may not be the actual thing right off. And maybe I can go into why I think that is. But anyway, if things are going to be tied down, do you really want a vehicle that has a lingering repair that you need done? Because if this thing goes sideways, think about all of the things that are going to potentially be down. Think about the parts that won't be coming in. I was just in Whole Foods day before yesterday. I know it was Whole Foods, but hey, you don't have a whole lot of choice around here. I was at the one in Asheville, and I'm telling you, it looked like it was, I mean, the shelves were so bare, I couldn't even believe what was going on. I asked what it was all about, and they said, well, it was some kind of cyber attack or something from one of our suppliers. I'm like, hold on. I have a hard time believing that your same supplier that supplies the dish soap is the same one providing the eggs over here. I mean, that's pretty tough to believe, but that's the official story. So that's typically not the way it works in a lot of these places. I mean, but anyway, it was weird. So you're still going to be feeling the lingering effects of the tariff. That was going to happen. There were things that weren't shipping for a while. So that's one of those things. But anyway, if it does go sideways, do you really want a vehicle that has like a repair? Like, you need to get it done, but you've been kind of leaving it on the shelf for a while. So that's really not in the area where I'd like to be if things do jump off. I'd like to have everything all squared away. So anyway, when we left there, I thought I was going to be able to drop it off and then pick it up in an hour or two. No, I had to pick it up today. So that's a 2-hour trip, going there and back 2 days in a row. So that really puts a cramp in things. But hey, it gave me and your mom an opportunity. Now she's going to find out some stuff that she didn't know yesterday, but I'm going to tell you right here on the podcast. So we stopped at this place. I'm not going to name it because I really like the joint. Now, if you go to my X account or Permapastures Farm on X, when we were sitting down eating at this place where we get tacos and stuff, I pulled out my phone and I took a picture, and Michelle's asking, well, why are you taking a picture of the food? I'm like, no big deal. So yeah, I was sitting here thinking, so I put a post up on X, and you can go watch it right now. And, I use X sometimes for some comedy or whatever, things I think are funny, but I don't have an audience. So I'm like, okay, I'll just drop it here. So that's what I did. So I put it on X, and it was like, hey, don't tell me I'm not thinking positively. I just found a hair in my queso, and I was just thankful it wasn't curly.
So mom's just now finding out there was hair.
Along with everybody else. Because if I'd have said something right there, she would have lost it, dude. So,
yeah.
Or maybe she knew about it because she quit eating it after a while. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't, like I said, I was just thankful it wasn't curly, man. At the end of the day, oh, man. Anyway, I'm sure it was a one-off. Anyway, man, it was weird. But anyway, she just found out. I thought it'd be a nice little surprise for her as well, because she's probably listening to this as she's doing something else. So other weird things we got going on around here. Folks, practicing what I preach. Look, all about that compost. Got another batch going right now, and we're going to keep it going because that is the source of all your fertility. I mean, it really is. If you can get that right, everything else falls into place. Son, am I wrong?
No, you're right. I have 2 batches cooking right now. One of it is the older one is looking really good right now. It has that dark chocolate colored brown, and then it has the perfect consistency and stuff. But I was planting the garden yesterday in the rain, believe it or not. Believe it or not, Texas actually received some gentle rain. It's been raining for the past 2 days, and it's only been 2 inches so far. I found a red thread in my food.
Yeah, I thought it was a hair for a second there. I mean, I don't know why that sounds more disgusting than hair, but okay. Red thread. Okay. I don't know why that just seems more disgusting. So if anybody else has found some weird stuff, look, man, I have found, especially in the Army, there was a guy, Sergeant Singleton was his name back in the day. I remember he found a beak in his chicken a la king in his MRE. I remember I had nearly broke a tooth. I was working in Northern California, doing smoke jumping, and they had these people that would come out and cook for us. I bit down on this thing in the mashed potatoes, and it turned out to be like a strainer that's in a sink. And apparently they didn't know it, or it was left in there, but I about broke. I mean, boy, I found some interesting stuff in my food, and I'm sure a lot of other people have too.
So real quick, Dad, have you know what chorizo is, right? Most people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what chorizo is, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, don't ever look at the ingredients list of chorizo.
Exactly.
It's like everything you assume is in a hot dog is stated in the ingredients list on chorizo. It's salivary glands and lymph nodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It didn't stop me from eating it, but dang, salivary, like they're specific. Like these are the unwanted parts that we used in chorizo.
Yeah,
salivary glands.
Yeah, I'll eat chorizo, but man, I won't buy it because I look at all the ingredients these days. But I'll eat it out and about. But I was like, man, I really don't need to know what's in this stuff. Just like growing up, I mean, we ate scrapple all the time. Yeah, some pretty disgusting stuff until you know what's. I mean, but that's probably the tip of the iceberg of the crap they're putting in there. I mean, I'd probably rather eat that than what's falling from the sky right now. So let's see some other things we got going on here. Well, our little sheepies all of a sudden, and I think Michelle's convinced that it has to do with what they're spraying from the sky, but all of a sudden a couple of these little lambs started limping around like their legs wouldn't work, or there's something like just wacky. And of course, if there is something wrong with an animal and there is a solution out there, your mom will find it. So I don't know what prompted her to do it, but she ended up putting some of that Redmond's conditioner out there. And now it seems like they're on the mend. So I don't know. I mean, they ate like 2 cups of this stuff yesterday. So whatever is going on out there, like I said, she thinks it's absolutely fallen from the sky because their diets couldn't be more impeccable. They're touched with no drugs. These animals are absolutely, all of them. There is no animal on earth, I would bet, that gets better treatment than these guys get, and a better buffet every single day. Their salad bar every single day. So yeah,
are the little ones able to get their head underneath that rubber the rubber flap over the mineral? Are they able to get in there?
No, I don't think so. They kind of fool around with it, but no, they're not big enough to get into that. But for some reason, something is going on. I mean, I know they're playing games every single day. Even the bees are acting erratically. It's just strange. Your mom got stung again the other day. It's just weird things going on around here. And they're in places where they ordinarily wouldn't be, or they're acting erratically at a time of morning that they shouldn't even be active. Just really, really weird and strange stuff going on around here. I know that obviously they're dropping the stuff from the sky, but in addition to that, there's also, oh man, I can't think of her name right now, but she's reported extensively about all of the radar tests and whatever else is going on right here in Western North Carolina. It's been going nonstop. And so we feel the effects. And I think a lot of other people are feeling it as well. They just don't know where it's coming from. So let's see. We also got eggs in the incubator. I told you about those a while back, and those are all breast birds. So those are going to be hatching, and they ought to be about ready to rock and roll by the time my grandbaby's here. And honestly, folks, I'll tell you what, one of the biggest therapeutic things I'm doing right now, and it's free. It doesn't require anything. It's getting up before the sun, obviously doing all the chores, and then watching, literally looking dead at the sun as it rises, if I'm able, or have to look at it through a veil of chemtrails and stuff like that. But I've honestly been feeling the difference. I mean, I've always had trouble sleeping at night or trying to stay asleep, but since I've been doing that, it seems like things are really, really working out for the better. So that's one of the hacks I'm doing right now. And during the day, I'm probably like 2 shades darker than ordinarily I would be. I am absolutely positively getting as much sun as I can. And for the new people out there, that D minder, it's called D as in Delta, Minder. It's an app. Learned about it from Dr. Alexis Cowan, and that's how I'm gauging how my vitamin D is going. So, folks, I was on E. And I think a lot of you out there are in the same area. I really do, because think about this. Most farmers and people in construction, you do all of your outdoor work when the sun is low in the sky. Well, you don't even get vitamin D depending on your latitude until a certain time. Like right around here, it's about 9 o'clock that you can start getting vitamin D. And as the sun goes higher in the sky, of course, the UV is higher and it's more intense, so you can get it in that much quicker. So all of you pale faces out there who are thinking, well, first of all, if you're thinking you're afraid of the sun, you're already making a mistake to begin with. But anyway, that app will help you gauge how much vitamin D you're getting and how much you should get. So feeling so much better ever since I've been really, really monitoring that. And you would think as a farmer, oh, yeah, my vitamin D levels are good. No, they're not. Because if you're doing all of your work in the morning and in the evening, you're missing a lot of the time where you can get any consequential vitamin D. So I've been really putting a big foot forward on that. And it seems to be really working out right now. So what's going on in your world, son?
Oh, like I was saying earlier, just planted the garden out yesterday, and just again surprised at how well just a cover crop remediated that soil. I mean, like literally just like a foot away, you have the heavy red Play-Doh type clay, and then just a foot the other direction, you have like dark brown crumb structure soil. And the only remediation done was just a cover crop, really, multiple cover crops, and that was it. Some people were saying, oh, first of all, Mom definitely heard the whole hair in the queso comment, because she commented in the comment section saying the lambs get the minerals when the older sheep lift the lid. So she definitely heard the hair comment in the queso. But somebody else was saying that you're out there doing sun salutations in your birthday suit.
You got it.
Yeah. Which reminds me, Dad, are you wearing pants this episode?
I got shorts on. I got these.
Are they see-through?
Yeah. Yeah, they're see-through shorts. I mean, well, that's exactly how I've been doing things. I mean, honestly, I've been working all day. It's hard for your mom to keep her hands off of me because I ain't got a shirt on half the time, and I'm wearing these see-through shorts. So I'm walking around here, honestly, barefoot with nothing but these see-through shorts on half the time, trying to get in as much vitamin D as I possibly can because they're blocking out the doggone sun. And if you listen to people like Alexis Cowan, Dr. Cruz, and a number of others out there, there's a reason why they're doing it. There's a reason why they keep telling us, and all your dermatologists, your eye doctors, and all these other people they're telling you the polar opposite. Anything that comes from a centralized, this is something I've learned over time. Anything that comes from a centralized source is almost always wrong. Almost always. They're telling you don't get the sun. I mean, everybody in your mom's side of the family is so deathly afraid of the sun, they won't go out there, or they want to put on sunscreen. And then when you listen to Dr. Cruz and you're finding out, hold on, all of these ailments can be solved just by taking off your sunglasses, just by actually going out there in the sun. You mean this is absolutely possible? I mean, like one of the big things out there, and I'm going to talk about it, is autism. So I just listened to a podcast with him today where he was talking about that very thing and how people are absolutely reversing autism. So everything that, look, I'm not your doctor, folks. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm telling you what I'm doing, and I'm telling you how it's working out. So it's been pretty, I'm moving the needle in a big way. Now, I'm not even worried about my diet at this point. I really am. I'm really not. Even though he recommends you eat like a great white shark and, make like the Sphinx. I'm worried. I'm trying to really examine this thing, saying, okay, what if, now I'm not eating awful. I mean, my diet is impeccable compared to most. I'm just less concerned about what I'm eating and when I'm eating. Generally, it's a decent diet, but I'm not leaning down like I'd ordinarily do this time of year. I'm just trying to see how I feel. And honestly, except on the days when they're, and when it is, because your mom and I will both feel it. Like, man, like I think it was 2 days ago, neither one of us could even move. That's how bad it was. It was like, man, are you just like out of nowhere, and it hit us at the same time, like absolutely positively exhausted. How do you explain this? My sleep is better than it's ever been, ever. I no longer have sleep apnea. I don't even have it anymore. I mean, and that was already occurring when you were here, son. And then I found out through Dr. Cruz how you get rid of it. And it's managing the sun and not just the sun, but the blue light you get. Like right now, there is no vitamin D in the sky right now, but I'm in a room where I'm getting blasted with blue light. The only time you get blue light is midday. So the fact that you're looking at your phone with no filter on it, 8 o'clock at night, well, okay, I quit all those things. I don't even look at my phone in the morning unless it's on red. I mean, I got that thing on that red light filter, and that's exactly the way it stays until I know there is absolutely light out there. So, folks, it's little hacks like that that don't cost a dime that are making all the difference in the world, at least how I'm feeling. And I figured I better, look, I'm not getting any younger. I'm almost 55. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are listening right now, my age, a little bit younger, a little bit older, and you're relating to some of this stuff. You feel like you're getting older. And I'm like, okay, man, all of this neck pain I was having, it's all gone. All these other things, they seem to be disappearing. And this seems to be the best modality in how I'm going about doing it. So, yeah, the hat says it all. Make skies blue again. So if you want one of these hats,
where'd you get that?
Yeah, I got it from Seth. If you go check out Seth Wholehouse, Man in America, he's got a new product line. I got shirts and everything from him. So I'll probably be wearing those shirts in some of the videos again, because anytime I talk about this stuff, YouTube algorithms all of a sudden don't want me to talk about it. And so weird things happen. All right. So, folks, I just want to cover this real quick because, look, this Saturday, we got some weird things going on. Okay, first of all, there's going to be a UFO festival, and I'm going to be at it. Yeah,
Where is it?
There's a UFO festival. I've never been to one before. I was like, okay, well, told your mom about it. It's going to be in Spruce Pine, I think. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, yeah. No, they have one every year. I remember that. Yeah, they do have one every year. I'd be surprised on how they're going to get it done with all the damage that was down there.
No, I mean, it's in a place, I think, where it was less stricken, but yeah, so your mom and I are going to go by there and then probably go by Asheville and see what kind of lunatics are going off on this day of rage, on this No King's Day or whatever that's going on. But folks, I got to be honest with you. I think it's all a show. I really do. I think this is all. Think about what nobody's talking about right now. Guess what? You're not talking about Trump betraying everybody with Palantir. Yeah, nobody's talking about that anymore. Nobody's talking about the fact that the Epstein files, not a single arrest. Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino. You got Kash Patel, basically who I call Harold and Kumar over at the FBI. Not a single arrest. Not a single arrest going on over there. Not one. And it's 100 some days into this thing. You don't see, I think what happens is this big, beautiful bill, so they call it, it's going through there and they need a distraction. Because people like me and people like you are saying, hold on a minute. Why did you even have Elon Musk go through there if you're not going to make any of the cuts that he discovered? And he found all this in 1% of the budget. 1%. Yeah. So how much fraud, abuse, I mean, mafia payoffs, kickbacks, bribes, scandals, you name it. How many other things are going on through there based on what he found in just that 1%? And nobody's talking about it. Why? Let me ask you something. And I'm gonna say what I did last time because we always have new viewers every single time. Let me ask you something. If you were going to go out there and you're going to crack down on the illegals, and I don't have a problem with that, why wouldn't you start in a place like Arizona, maybe Scottsdale? But you're going to go right at the hotbed of where you know things are going to fly. First of all, if you want to train your troops, ask every soldier out there, if you go on a raid, what do you do before you go on that raid? You rehearse, you practice, you do it over and over and over again. Even though when you get on the site, it's going to be totally different, but you'll at least have some degree of muscle memory. So you have a bunch of green people in there that are doing this job, never done it before, not since Eisenhower. And by the way, it was called Operation Wetback back then. I kid you not, that's exactly what they called it. No, it wasn't quite the pejorative then, I don't think, that it is now. I mean, they were still coming over, 22 an inner tube back then, but, nowhere near to the extent that it's happening right now. But anyway, why wouldn't you warm them up in a place like, let's say, New Mexico, Arizona, something like that? But you're going to start them off in LA. And here's the thing, you want to stop immigration, you want them all to self-deport, make a $10,000 fine for every employer caught employing somebody illegal. They would self-deport tomorrow. It would happen tomorrow, folks. This is why I'm saying this is meant to happen. Just like FDR said, if it happens in government, you better believe it was planned that way. That's exactly how it's going down. So I'm not believing for a minute. If you can take a farmer here in the highlands of North Carolina, and I can figure out a sensible way in which to get all these people on the first thing smoking back to where they came from, like I said, it's simple. $10,000, $10,000 for every single day they're employed. They would self-deport overnight, because there was no employer worth 2 dead flies that would ever hire these people. So it's meant to happen. And then also, here's the thing that I find laughable, son, and then I'll pass it over to you. Okay, so you got Harold and Kumar at the FBI. They're watching every single keystroke you do. If you doubt me, folks, go look at what was released by Edward Snowden. Better still, go check out J. Kirk Wiebe. Go check out Bill Binney. All of them much higher than some jive time Ed Snowden was at the NSA. In fact, he was a contractor. These guys were like the number 2 and number 3 at the NSA. Look at what they put out there. There is not, and ever since the Telecommunications Act of 96, there is not a single thing you do from every single thing you speak into your phone is captured. Every keystroke you make on your computer, whether it's at work or on your device, it's captured. Every single thing you do is captured. So I'm to believe. Let's also go back. January 6th, just off the top of my head. How many people did they capture because they had their cell phones in their pockets and they were swooping them up weeks and weeks later? But you're going to tell me that you're still examining the information, the evidence to find out who's paying for this, who's dropping. You're telling me you can't find out who dropped off a bunch of Acme bricks? You can't tell me who's paying these people? You're telling me with all the dragnet garbage that we have out there in this panopticon government that you can't find out who's funding this? So the only reasonable thing that would make sense to me is if they were to let this thing go down on Saturday and then swoop them up. But if it doesn't happen, 100% guarantee that the highest echelons of this current government are absolutely in on it. There is no logical way you can make an argument. I challenge anybody to make an argument discounting what I just said. There is no way they don't know who dropped off the bricks. There's no way they don't know who's paying these people. There's no way they don't know where these people can be found. There's no way. It is an impossibility. So if it goes down and we have the next American Revolution, which ought to be relatively short, but if it ends up going down, it's because they allowed it to go down. This is all one giant screw job. If it goes down the way that some people, it may be a much ado about nothing. It might very well be, because now all of a sudden, they will have voted on this bill and, they can change the topic now. So anyway, Sam, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's all, like you were saying, just completely contrived. Like, okay, just to prove how absurd the method they picked is, the solution was created on a podcast called the Permaculture Pimpcast. You're telling me not one of those advisors in all of DC was like, hold on, hold on a second. Let's just find the employers, and that's it. But yeah, it just feels all fake. Like your gut feeling just shows that, like, just tells you that it's all fake. And then that Kash Patel did an interview with Joe Rogan a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago. You just get the feeling the whole time, like, man, that dude is just constantly lying. Or he kept telling you just straight up, he's like, this is what we're allowed to tell you. He's like, I got to figure out like what we're allowed to tell you and stuff. Isn't he the head of the FBI or the director of the FBI?
Yeah.
Isn't he supposed to be the one telling people?
Yeah, but here's the laughable part, if it weren't so freaking tragic, is that you get Pam Bondi over there, or Pam Blondie, never saw a camera she didn't love. And she quite literally told everybody there were thousands, and this is almost a direct quote, thousands of videos of Epstein and probably his minions doing some pretty awful things to kids. And then all of a sudden he goes on, there ain't nothing to be found. He goes on Rogan. And of course, I don't trust Joe Rogan as far as I can throw him. I know he's a CIA plant. And also, that guy, former Navy SEAL CIA guy, I can't think of his name.
Mike Baker.
No, Sean Ryan.
Yeah.
Absolute. See, I mean, you can tell by the guests they get on there and the questions they don't ask. If Kash Patel came on here right now, I promise you, I would fry, die, and lay him to the side with the questions I'd ask him. These are obvious questions, and it's not as if Joe Rogan is a stupid man. He knows not to ask those questions because I'm like, hold on. Pam Bondi just said there's thousands of videos, and you're telling me there ain't nothing out there? Having a hard time believing this, bro. Maybe you and Harold should go to White Castle, go get some burgers or whatever, because I don't know what you guys are smoking. So the bottom line is, these things are all contrived, every single bit of it. And nobody's going to convince me otherwise because I'm looking at the evidence. So either way, folks, there's a reason why the tagline of this show is stay alert, stay alive, and try, if you possibly can, to avoid a lot of the dumb stuff that's going to be going on. Although if there is some intrepid person out there that's anywhere near one of these bigger cities, you have Michael Yon, who's about as true blue as they get, former Green Beret. He's like, look, I've been to a number of these things. Here's how it's going to go down. So, folks, I'll pass it on to you. And if you get any information or intel on this and you can do it, knock yourself out. I would love to, but I just don't have the bandwidth to do it. Like he says, 2 days before every staged event like this, you're going to see people show up wherever that place is going to be. They already know where it's going to be. They're going to show up. And if you're able to stake that place out, they're going to all be wearing the same thing. They're going to have the same shoes and the same clothing on. They're going to meet together. And if you wait long enough, you're going to find them. And they're going to be planning out exactly how they're going to go about doing this. And so of the day of the event, then, they're pretty easy to pick out because all the other minions, and usually a lot of times there's a lot of feds in there mixed in with them. So at least that's the way it's been in the past. So if anybody's able to stake these places out and find out what's happening beforehand, if you can do it safely, let us know how it pans out. But I can't even imagine the collection. I mean, this is going to be like something straight out of the Apple Dumpling Gang in Asheville. I mean, like Don Knotts and the rest of the Apple Dumpling Gang over here. But then again, during Black Lives Matter, man, they burned down entire apartment complexes downtown. So, or at least that were being built. So they burned some structures.
Can you imagine the smell that's going to waft through downtown Asheville?
Oh my goodness, man. These people, the smell of these folks alone will ravage the countryside unchecked. I mean, that alone, you find yourself in a room. It's like bathing. Not bathing is a sacrament to these people. I've never smelled anything. There's one thing, okay, if a person has BO from just regular everyday work, okay, you know what that is. Yeah. But when a person hasn't bathed for a week, folks, I will go without eating before I go without taking a shower. Okay. I mean, we got more running water in these mountains than anywhere else. I mean, I'll jump in a river before I will walk around nasty. But
not anymore.
Well, maybe these creeks up here are okay, but definitely not anything near Asheville. But anyway, the stench alone. If I was a cop, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to pass on this one. I am not trying to put cuffs on this guy, not unless I'm in some kind of mask where I don't have to smell this clown. But I mean, just go into any health food store and you will walk past these people and they smell like 30 miles of swamp. So I can't even imagine what that place is going to be. So anyway, you and your mom and I are going to hit that UFO festival. If I got some time, maybe I'll swing by there. And yeah, I'm going to just swing by and drive by and see what's up. I thought about putting on like even though I'm not I thought about putting on like a MAGA hat and just rolling through there.
Oh, Dad, you're going to be knocking out old people. That's all that's in Spruce Pine.
No,
it's like a retirement community.
I'm talking about down there in the Asheville area. If we can swing by.
Oh man,
I don't know what's going to go on there, but I'm just curious to see how many dizzy SOBs are just running around this place because it anything the people watching will be priceless. All right, y'all. Sorry to spend so much time on that, but it had to be said. And plus, I wanted to give you a sit rep of what I really think is going on, because honestly, I think it's another deflection tactic. All right, Redemption Shield, 10% off with promo code PERMA. I'm G'd up from the feet up, and that means grounded. You know what that means. Also, Wave Watch. Billy 100 will get you $100 off of that Wave Watch. And good night. Yeah, we just bought another one. And you think they would hook a player up with one, but no, I got to buy one too. So anyway, yeah, your mom just bought one. And yeah, that thing is definitely the cat's meow. Every single time I leave the house, I got it on every single time. Okay, Kentucky Sustainable Living, that's going to be coming up July 18th through the 20th. William's going to be there teaching along with a number of others. I think Bear Independent's going to be there as well. So be there or be square. All right, so we'll just jump right into the good news section here. New study. Okay, these are going to be some of those questionable good news sections, but new study finds that glyphosate weed killers cause multiple cancer in rats, even at the safe dosage. Okay, so all of you folks that are out there spraying Roundup, you might remember what we said about compost. Okay, these aren't weeds that are popping up here. If they're weeds, they're making themselves some. Why don't you tell everybody why the weeds, what people call weeds, why are they making themselves known?
Well, they're indicators. They're indicators of what's wrong in the soil. Sometimes you have like phosphorus fixing weeds. Sometimes you have nitrogen fixing weeds. Whatever they are, no matter what purpose they're serving as far as like fixation of nutrients in the soil or decompaction or compaction, they're also feeding the organisms when other plants can't grow there. That's their biggest value, is that they're still feeding the organisms in the soil when nothing else, when the soil is too dead for anything else to grow.
That's my dog right there. Yeah, so we got, let's see here. I'm finally getting caught up on the chat here. Bobby Spag.
We got Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby's in there. Oh yeah, Mountainside Homestead with Ken and Amy. Bobby's trying to get a hold of you, by the way. He says,
I talked to him earlier.
Okay. Yeah, so anyway, there's I want to thank everybody in his house tonight. So anyway, here's the next one. FDA approves. Okay, this is another good news. Hey, look, give me a break, y'all. Good news is hard to find these days. FDA approves lab-grown salmon amid safety concerns and regulatory gaps. Okay, that ain't good news. But you know what is that everybody on Twitter, at least the doctors I trust on Twitter, are absolutely losing their minds about this, showing that, you know what, the hero for a lot of you folks out there, that Bobby Kennedy, nope, he's another skunk, just like all the rest of them. So, yeah. And then brings on Robert Malone, as you know, fired all these other people, and then you brought in a whole new batch of centralized doctors who took the stuff. I mean, Robert Malone, are you kidding me? The guy invented this crap, and he's on board, I guarantee, for most of it. So, yeah. So anyway, this is another. Look, I'm just going to shoot them all you Trump lovers, bam, just shot you in the foot. All you people that love Biden, bam, got you too. All you people that are in love with Kennedy, look, it is a foolish faith in government which has gotten us to this point right now. And all of these people are skunks. So anyway, third one. Herbs. Okay, this is one I want to spend just a brief little bit of time on because it's important. And a lot of you folks may be dealing with kids with autism. So herbs, playtime, and the senses, a South Korean study on holistic parent-led autism care at home, and how doing this, they saw a reduction in these symptoms. I mean, most kids, I want to say 90% of them came off the spectrum. Now, I find it especially curious that this was done in Korea, but we got white, blonde hair, blue-eyed folks on the front of this. So they must, I don't know where they got these pictures, but yeah, they got a bunch of white folks here, but it was Koreans. I don't know how many blonde hair, blue-eyed Koreans are out there, but anyway, that's who's on here. But anyway, they're using a combination of grounding, obviously a sensible diet. And there was an interview, if you go and check it out today, there was an interview with Jack Cruz today talking about this very thing in autism and how a lot of kids with autism they don't want to eat protein. They don't want to eat fat. 9 times out of 10, they want to eat carbs, and to get them to eat otherwise is usually troublesome. There's a reason for that. And it has to do with the heteroplasm. Well, I'm not going to get into all the fancy language and everything, but basically in utero, there was a lot of things that were misaligned. And then when they get jabbed or whatever else, it only exacerbates whatever problem that was already persisting. So anyway, he was talking about, now this is where I talked about it in my Patreon, how we're in these silos. So many of us, where we see the work of this person and we think, okay, I'm going to do that. Or we see the person over here and think, okay, I'm going to do that. And if we're good at anything between Michelle, William, and I, is that we cut and paste the very best of all these different people and put that into a system. Prime example is how we do our orchards and our food forest and how we do our animals. I don't just, like with our animals, I don't just follow Joel Salatin. I don't just follow Greg Judy. I don't just follow Jim Garrish. I don't just follow, pick the person out there. No, what we do is find we cut and paste, sometimes not even intentionally, all the best of all these different people and put it into a system that works for us. Because permaculture, at the end of the day, like you say all the time, son, it's nothing more than a toolbox, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's all it is.
It's a toolbox. It's a list of all these different tools. So why don't we do this in terms of health? Like I was telling you a moment ago at the top of the podcast. Why don't we do this in terms of our health? Okay, well, there's no contraindication for taking what I learned from this person and combining with this person. Okay, so let me mix them and see if they work. And there's a lot of overlap anyway. But anyway, Dr. Cruz went on to say that if you take these kids, and it was mind-blowing what he was talking about, for let's say it's a kid that has autism, just by moving them from a place, let's say they live in, okay, in the case of this podcast, they lived in Austin. And you move them from Austin because of all of the Wi-Fi signals and all the other crap around them. And you take that child and you drop them off into, let's say, El Salvador, where they only have 3G. They heal in record time. So now South Korea is probably one of the worst places on earth, especially around Seoul when it comes to, all the electronic signals and stuff that are going on. But they're finding out that if you can take these kids, like he was giving examples of mom and dad, like, okay, dad's going to have to stay here and work. Mom's going with the kid down to, let's say, Costa Rica, and they're going to be there until this kid's well. And it's happening in record numbers. So, and getting them out there walking, hey, we're going to get up in the morning. We're going to go on the beach. We're going to walk. We're going to see the sunrise. And then depending on how bad they are, look, we're going to see the sunset. And we're going to do it as much time as we possibly can being in the beach. And they're finding out, obviously, that these cases are turning around in record numbers. But anyway, this study, man, if you want to get your laughing on, just have me pronounce some of these names. But it's the Schlungling Tang, the Gingong Tang, the Baikwang Tang, the Daejua Tang. That's these methods that they're using down in Korea. Yeah. How many of those I got correctly? I don't even know. I probably cussed somebody out in Korean. I don't even know. But hey, there you have it. Try the Baikwang Tang. And anyway, it's a combination of all these herbs. Just basically, if you get back to brass tacks, it's just getting back to nature is all they're doing. That's really what they're doing. And so their heteroplasmy rate is going down like nobody's business, and they're seeing massive changes. So, yeah, try the Gulong Tang and the Wam. Anyway, we better go off to Eric before I totally pick everybody off out there.
Hey, Eric Sider here with your Pimpcast tip of the day. Today's tip, quotes by Bill. The following are a series of quotes by Bill Mollison in no particular order and without any extensive verification by yours truly. Here we go. Though the problems of the world are increasingly complex, the solutions remain embarrassingly simple. I teach self-reliance, the world's most subversive practice. I teach people how to grow their own food, which is shockingly subversive. So yes, it's seditious, but it's peaceful sedition. If we lose the forests, we lose our only teachers. The only ethical decision is to take responsibility for our own existence and that of our children. We're only truly secure when we can look out our kitchen window and see our food growing and our friends working nearby. If you only do one thing, collect rainwater. There is no more time-wasting process than that of believing people will act and then finding that they will not. To accumulate wealth, power, or land beyond one's needs in a limited world is to be truly immoral, be it as an individual, an institution, or a nation-state. Stupidity is an attempt to iron out all differences and not to use them or value them creatively. Few people today muck around in Earth, and when on international flights, I often find I have the only decently dirty fingernails. To create a mess in which we perish by our own inaction makes nonsense of our claim to consciousness and morality. The tragic reality is that very few sustainable systems are designed or applied by those who hold power, and the reason for this is obvious and simple. To let people arrange their own food, energy, and shelter is to lose economic and political control over them. We should cease to look to power structures, hierarchical systems, or governments to help us, and devise ways to help ourselves. Spiritual people are often very greedy, avaricious, and waste a hell of a lot of time. Nobody deserves what they are promised by spiritual people, and some people promise them eternal life. I think it's a horrific punishment to get eternal life. Ordinary people should never have such punishment visited on them. The greatest change we need to make is from consumption to production, even if on a small scale, in our own gardens. If only 10% of us do this, there is enough for everyone. Hence the futility of revolutionaries who have no gardens, who depend on the very system they attack, and who produce words and bullets, not food and shelter. You can find me on YouTube and Instagram at Eric Sider. If you're in need of permaculture t-shirts or remote permaculture consultation and design, head over to ericsider.com. And for those in the Sacramento area, check out my permaculture community group, permaculturefairoaks.org.
That's my dog. Man, Bill Mollison had so many awesome quotes. And
Yeah.
I mean, the one that I keep going back to all the time is actually right at the very beginning of the permaculture manual, and I always paraphrase it because it's back to a Army maxim, and that is basically be responsible for everything you do and fail to do. Well, that really, and he really applies it to your family as well, but that's basically the prime directive of permaculture. So yeah, he was a wise man. So had a lot of things right. He won the second ever Right Livelihood Award. Should have been given a Nobel Prize, but of course, they didn't. It was like Einstein's. He never got a Nobel Prize for the theory of relativity, but he got one for the photoelectric effect because it was so ahead of its time that nobody knew what it was. They didn't give it to him until years later, and until people started to understand it. Now I think that's kind of where we are in permaculture. All right, so our AMP Shield, $50 off with promo code PERMA. Look, shaky ground we're on right now. Is it contrived? I think so. Maybe not. I don't know. I guess we're all going to find out, but I guarantee by the end of this year, I don't know that you're going to recognize this country. So folks, get loose or get lost. You know the deal. So anyway, if you're worried about any of that stuff, whether it's on your vehicle or in your house, EMP Shield, $50 off with promo code PERMA. All right, so when do you know it's time to evacuate a city? Okay, I wrote this. I'm going to read it right off of my Twitter account at PermaPastures. Like I said, if you want to see, I don't necessarily cover all farming over there. It's like observations, quirky. I'm thinking of funny stuff all day long. At least it's funny to me. And it's an outlet for me to put it out there. And I can sometimes, if I'm not careful, I'll get caught up looking at other people's nonsense. But I think I've arrested it well enough. But here's what I wrote yesterday. Wondering if your city is ripe for upheaval? Here's your litmus test. Drive by a bus stop. If the hood rats are rocking $1,500 worth of gear waiting on a $2 ride, it's probably time to catch the first thing smoking out of town. Okay. Now, obviously, there's a lot that goes on Twitter. I mean, I'm deeply suppressed ever since I put that thing out there with Dr. Will. I mean, ever since I put that thing out there with Dr. Will, when he talked about how this place rivaled Chernobyl when he did his testing, it was at that moment that Twitter said, we're going to titrate this guy. And they did. And I'm not the only one. I mean, there's a lot of people out there putting out really great information, but they have them siloed. And so if you're thinking, here's another little hero. If you think Elon Musk is your buddy, got news for you. He ain't. This is by no means a free speech platform. Anyway, we got all this weird stuff going on right now, and there's people that I get it, man. It's already hard enough to put bread on the table for everybody. Look, everybody knows what that feels like. I certainly do. We all do. And you're probably wondering, okay, how bad is this thing going to get? When should I get out of here? Well, there was litmus test number 1. And I was dead serious. And then I thought, well, you know what? I should probably put a list of things together for people, because I'm dead serious about that. If you go by any bus stop in any big city and tell me what you notice, you'll see a gang of hood rats wearing anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000 worth. Son, am I wrong?
No, you're not. Now, I would say that's probably a little different in Asheville. You'll see a slightly different crowd in Asheville, but in most cities, yeah, you'll see a gang of hood rats with a whole bunch of expensive clothes and jewelry and stuff like that, but walking. Yeah,
you're on public transportation, so there's litmus test number 1. Number 2, I don't have them in the list here, but I just got it, written down. Okay, the bus stop smells like weed, feet, or a failed social experiment. That's and okay, there's number 1 right there, or there's another one. Okay, here's another one. Everybody's filming TikToks while Dollar General's on fire.
Yeah.
Some of these I actually got out of the LA riot. I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, how does this apply to what am I seeing right? What am I seeing going on right now?
If a Walmart has left in the past 2 years, you need to move.
Son, that's like the biggest one right there.
Yeah.
There's a reason. Think about this. Remember, everybody's already forgotten about this story, but remember when all these insurance companies canceled all the policies across California and nobody could figure out why? Nobody knew why. You think maybe they knew this was coming? Yeah, I'm that conspiratorial. I really think they did. So all these places around there, the insurance companies skedaddled. Believe me, these insurance actuaries, they know what time it is before everybody else. That's why if you know somebody who's in the insurance business, I guarantee really they'd be pretty good. If you want to make bets on the stock market, they'd probably be pretty good people to talk to anyway. Okay, so your neighbor just installed solar panels around his tent because he ain't got a house. Here's another one. You just saw more rats than pigeons today, and they're organizing. They're like you're unionizing. Man, I saw some stuff in Kansas City. Oh man, there was this Vietnamese place in Oklahoma City. I had never seen. Don't ask me how rats this big were walking across like ceiling tiles and not falling through. I don't even know how it was possible. I remember getting up there and this place, man, they sold like, oh my goodness, they had a fire up in this place, and I'm in there. It was like the worst. I've worked in some pretty disgusting places over the years. Boy, this was on another level, and they were selling food out of this place. Ew. All right. So, I mean, obviously another one's going to be gas is $12 a gallon and you can't find any.
Here's one. When you see the billionaires paint their roofs blue.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? It's funny. Because there's a guy named the Dollar Vigilante, and he's building I guess you can call it a mansion down there in Mexico. And he actually had all these tiles painted blue.
Wow.
Obviously, yeah, he had all these tiles painted blue. He did it partially, I think, as a joke, but also, strange how blue structures don't seem to get messed with. All right, here's another one. Your Uber driver just offered you fentanyl and a financial vice on the same ride. Yeah, that was how Rockefeller and a number of others knew to sell. Like they said, hey, well, my shoe shine boy's giving me financial advice. That's a way to get out. Your city council declared looting a form of economic reparations. Now that's something that could totally happen in Asheville.
No, they did.
Yeah.
They did. Asheville did give reparations.
Yeah. There you go. And yeah, I think we may be running neck and neck with San Francisco as far as that goes. And obviously the bums are on another level around here lately too. So yeah. So here's one. For all you people in California, the mayor banned meat, but gave herself a raise to buy more steak. I mean, that was Gavin Newsom. Remember when he was shutting everybody down? And he was over there at the French Laundry, got cold busted. And these people are still believing this idiot. Another one, and you could say this one was inspired by something I saw on Twitter, is that the police are too busy posting on Instagram to respond to what's unfolding. It's like the cops can't even believe it. The cops can't even believe what's going on. Like, hey, they're like holding up the camera. Meanwhile, the place is Rome is burning behind you. Yeah. So let's just keep it real here. Look, here's another one. I mean, things are getting so crazy. I'm sure they're looking for a way to bring in some cryptocurrency that, because they're clearly torpedoing the whole system. If they had any real desire to work their way out of this thing, I think what they found out with this Doge thing is that this thing is it's a sinking ship. So if the Starbucks near you is now accepting Snap, Dogecoin, or an emotional support coupons, it's time to break out. And that's entirely possible. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then finally, one of the big ones over here, I guess I kept this one more as a comedy episode because the skyline's glowing once again and it ain't the sunset. You dig? I mean, these things are absolutely unfolding right now and it may unfold in the future. Look, bottom line is you don't need me to tell you what when it's time to pull the pin and, throw smoke and get out of there. Folks, you should already be looking for a way, but I understand that a lot of folks you're in a financial circumstances and you just can't. One of the things that really drives me crazy, and I guess I won't say who the name of this person is, but I respect them to a high degree. But when they tell everybody just move, look, man, I guess these people don't know what it's like to not be in a position where you don't have, let's say you're a single mom or a dad, your spouse just ran off with a go-go dancer. You're doing all you can. The judge says, okay, you're paying child support and alimony, whatever the case may be. And now you're in a bind. You can't move. You're in a bind and your kids are there. I also wonder if one of these things jump off, good night. How many of those situations? No, I've never once heard anybody ever talk about that, where you have a divorcee situation where one spouse is using the kids as leverage on the other and Rome is burning and they're like, okay, I'm about to pull a Terminator on this entire place and take the kids.
Yeah. The reason nobody talks about it is because everybody's keeping it quiet. Like Dave Chappelle during the Jussie Smollett, where Jussie Smollett was like mad that the black community wasn't backing him up. And Dave Chappelle was like, we didn't say anything. Like he clearly knew this was fake. But yeah, Dad, everybody knows it. Everybody's just keeping it quiet. So nobody's surprised when it happens.
Well, yeah. Speaking of which, I mean, another one I should have probably added to the list was like literally out there in California where the local news anchor says, but there's no reason to panic. If they end the sentence with that, or these are mostly peaceful, but meanwhile you see cars torched. I mean, some of these things just don't even make any sense. I mean, I'm seeing cars torched plumb down to the axles. I'm like, how do you burn a car that much? Okay. I don't even know how that's even possible, but they're burning these things down to where there is nothing there. So I don't even know. And then these days, you don't even know how much of what you're seeing is absolutely true. But yeah, other things where they put up a temporary, the worst thing about a temporary checkpoint is that it was last August, that they set it up. And that's how these things go. So I know I'm just kind of kidding around here because I think it's self-evident that if it's at all possible, yeah, folks, try to get out of there. If you can't, do what you can. If you got to stay, if you got to be there, look, arm yourself. At the end of the day, you got to look out for number one. And some of these thugs, if you're in one of those places, I mean, I would do everything possible to avoid a city. If you can get to the suburbs, maybe that's an improvement. Try to get with the people around you and find out what they're doing. Do they have any? Would you be willing to join a coalition should the mobs come this way? I mean, I hate to even say it. I would love to talk about permaculture, but folks, preparedness is also well within our wheelhouse. So I got to talk about it. You got to be thinking about these things, especially right now. I guess I tried to add a lighter note to a lot of what was going on right now, because frankly, what I see is a lot of comedy unfolding in a lot of these places. Yeah, there's some tragedy too if you're a business owner. And I'll tell you a group of people that won't be messed with out in California. It's those Koreans. They do not play. Bro.
Bring that Han energy out.
Bro, those Koreans, you go in there and try to, no, dude, you better avoid everywhere else, but those Koreans will blast first and ask questions later. But maybe we ought to be learning a lesson from them, okay? Those are not people they are not to be trifled with. Plus they got the street locked down. Last time things jumped off, they weren't afraid to put the hurt on somebody. So, folks, look, I know I'm kind of kidding around here because things are so, I was like, okay, man, maybe I need to try to find a more levity to put in here because of what's going on right now. But yeah, things are crazy. Things are stupid. And I think things are contrived. That's not to say that they're not legit or they won't expand. I mean, if you listen to people like Michael Yon and a number of others, they think that this is absolutely it. I don't know if I'm convinced yet. I don't know that. And if it is, that elements in the Trump administration allowed it to happen. There's no way you have Stingray technology and all the other things that are going on out there. You were nabbing people out while they were sleeping after J6. Don't tell me you don't know who's organizing this, who's behind it, and everybody involved. You have the technology. Like I said the other day on Twitter, I mean, they can tell your blood pressure from 10,000 feet in the air. Okay. So don't give me this garbage that they don't know who's doing this. So folks, just stay alert and stay alive because it's getting crazy. All right. So, the Batman says, off grid. I agree. Yeah, folks, a lot. If you're able, try to get out as best you can. And if you can't, just start making those plans. Start thinking. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast right now if you weren't already, on board with a lot of this stuff. So take some of what we're talking about right now. And son, is there any advice you'd like to throw? I mean, obviously people want their own victory gardens and stuff like that. And frankly, you could be growing all kinds of herbs in front of your place because honestly, hood rats will walk right past a whole food forest and will not even know what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, as far as growing anything, I mean, doing it, I'm not saying, by no means am I saying it's too late to start growing your own food or any aspect of your own food. But first, before you start throwing any money or time or effort into growing systems, first make sure that you have food, like immediate food storage put back. Do that first. And any like immediate medications that you would need, make sure that's put back. Water procurement first, and then work into your growing systems. Because the growing systems, like the cool thing about putting the food back is that you know how to eat that food. Like there's no learning process. But with the growing systems, there's going to be soil development that goes on. There's going to be a learning process for you if you're unfamiliar with gardening or animals or whatever it may be. So there's going to be that time quotient involved. But immediately get your food squared away first. Medical too. Jace Medical, that's the one where you can get the antibiotics, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've used them before too.
Now, hey, I have got to mention this. This is from, I've seen this comment for the past 3 episodes. This is from Amazing Young Life. Hello, Billy and William. Do you have your intro on a listening platform? They basically want to listen to the intro and the outro all day.
No, I'm afraid not. You're just going to have to share the podcast, my friend. And speaking of which, hey, wherever you may be listening to this, if you would, it helps the show if you're able to go out there and give us a 5-star review if you think we're worthy of 5. And it just takes a minute. Overwhelmingly, the biggest number of people that are listening to us don't offer a review or anything like that. And it's my fault because I should be asking you to. So it helps us grow, it helps expand the show, and it helps more people get this information. So that's supposedly how the algorithm works in these things. So yeah, we're growing, but it would be a great help to us if you were able to, wherever you're listening to this, to put out a review. Tell everybody, hey, these guys are off the hizzle faux shizzle. But yeah, as far as the music and stuff like that, I got a couple of other songs that that I'm just kind of keeping on the shelf right now. But anyway, no, I'm afraid not. You'll just have to listen to this podcast over and over and over again. I'm sorry about that. Hey, I want to thank everybody for coming in tonight. It's been a real joy to hang out with y'all. It's been real fun. And remember, things are getting crazy. So until next time, stay alert.
Stay alive.
Now this ring will roots that run deep. Wisdom from Saul and Permaculture dream. Let the ideas unfold. I'm grooving with the truth. Feeling nature's groove. Who's got the answers? All we need to do. Listen to the earth, they got us. Let's see the change. Watch the world spin. From the smallest sprout to harmony begin. In the cycle of life, where the magic's alive. To the good.